Well, the moment is finally upon us when we get to debate as a country whether Britain should have a general election. Well, not quite. It's a Westminster Hall debate in the House of Commons, but you asked for it in a petition that has now had more than 3 million signatures. In this video, I'm going to explain all the details, how to watch it, where to watch it, and exactly what's going to go on. Hello everyone, this is Andre Walker. Thanks so much for watching this video. Please do subscribe. More importantly, hit the bell notification icon. It's the best way to absolutely guarantee you get all my videos as soon as they are released. Well, I think that we as a movement need to be educated and we need to understand some of the issues that are going on. Tomorrow is going to be a really, really great way of doing it. So many of you have signed the petition to call for a general election. It's one of the biggest petitions ever in the history of this country. So really well done on that. I don't know why I'm congratulating you. I'm just a signatory, just like you are. Tim Westwood, who apparently is a publican somewhere in the Midlands, was the chap that's got it going. Anyway, what's going to happen now is this. There's already been a process. When 100,000 people sign a petition, it automatically gets referred to the Backbench Business Committee. They are a committee of worthy MPs in the House of Commons. By the way, this system was established by John Bercow. He wasn't all bad, despite the fact that he caused so many problems over Brexit, and as a deeply flawed person, there was elements of what he did that was quite good. Anyway, 100,000 people signed, so the Backbench Business Committee decide whether it's going to turn into a debate, and they decided yes, it would turn into a debate. Obviously, morally, they have to do it. It's going to be introduced by Jamie Stone. He is the Liberal Democrat member for Caithness, Ross, and Caithness something in Easter Ross. It's that way up in northern Scotland place. No disrespect if you come from there. He's a Liberal Democrat, but obviously we're expecting a huge turnout from Conservative MPs and of course the 5 Reform MPs. One of the reasons why it's going to be such a big turnout is because Clacton, where Nigel Farage is the Member of Parliament, is the constituency in Britain that had the most signatories to this petition. And so what will happen is somebody will chair it. Now, we don't actually know who's going to chair it yet. There's a panel of chairmen, so it won't be the speaker. It won't necessarily even be the deputy speakers. It'll be maybe somebody you don't know, say, and they'll call them Mr. Jones or Mrs. Smith or whatever it is, but they will do it. It will be in the Grand Committee room of the House of Commons, which you won't necessarily know, but you'll recognise when you see it. It's that big room that's got the green carpet. And in fact, if you've ever been to Parliament, it's behind the statue of Oliver Cromwell, if you remember your geography. When you go down that little walkway, it's that bit, if you see what I mean. Anyway, the debate will take place from 4:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Jamie Stone will stand up and introduce it, and then there's expected to be speeches from both shadow ministers and ministers, so expect Reform, the Conservatives, the Liberal Democrats, the SNP, Plaid Cymru, and all of them to turn out in quite significant numbers. Now, the critical point is that there will be no vote. And so that means that it doesn't have the power necessarily to cause a general election. Well, not, it doesn't have the power necessarily. It doesn't have the power at all to cause a general election. But why is this important? Well, I think it's really important for 2 reasons. Number one, it gave us the opportunity to register with Keir Starmer how angry we were. No government has ever been this popular, this close, this soon after a general election. So the fact that 3 million people signed it is a simply astonishing fact. Also, it gives you the opportunity, and do this tomorrow. What is it? 0207 219 3000. You can phone up the House of Commons and ask to speak to your Member of Parliament. You may not get through to them, but you'll certainly get through to somebody and tell them that you want them to speak in the debate and tell them that you want a general election now because you're so angry with Keir Starmer. Do that, by the way, even if you've got a Labour MP. Details of how to contact your MP is below. And then how to watch it. Well, the way to watch it, I would suggest, is this. Don't necessarily go on BBC Parliament. I'll put the details of the parliamentary website downstairs. The reason is BBC Parliament sometimes switches in between what's going on in the Commons and what goes on in Westminster Hall. So it may well be that they make an editorial decision to not show what's going on in Westminster Hall. That is very unlikely, I have to say, because this petition was so sought after. So I suppose then we've got to ask ourselves, do we really want a general election now? No, I don't. What I'm glad about is that we've got Keir Starmer rattled. He's come in, he has risen without trace. You think about his failure as Director of Public Prosecutions, failed on the grooming gangs, failed on Savile, failed on Al Fayed. So he is a failure. He's somebody whose personal life has never been looked into. All of that stuff with Lord Ali was extremely dodgy. He, I think, because he'd never been challenged, didn't actually know that he shouldn't have his own private box reserved by Lord Ali and shouldn't be allowed to borrow his houses whenever he wants to. He just didn't know that. So he didn't know anything about the job. Rachel Reeves, of course, has been a disastrous Chancellor simply because what she wanted to do was plough money in a Keynesian way into the economy, thus turning the economy from a genuine manufacturer into a green economy with all this sort of bells and whistles on it. And of course, she has failed as well. The country is heading for a dreadful recession. And of course, it's worth us registering how angry we are about that. And so this is the first step of many, isn't it? Of course, watch out for all the speeches, watch out for your MPs. All of the details should be there. I'm hoping that as many people as possible watch it, simply because it's going to be an extremely important thing. But more importantly, it gives us an opportunity to understand what we need to do as a movement and as a group of people. Because for too long, we have gone to the ballot boxes at election time and we've listened to our members of parliament make all sorts of promises, all of which they eventually completely ignore. And that's something that has to change. And we have to start looking at what's going on in this country. And also the other thing is, tell your neighbours and your friends about it. I'll tell you the reason, because then we can do more petitions. The fact that this petition got to 3 million so easily, I think is pretty telling. I'll tell you something else. I got messages every 5 minutes on my mobile phone, on WhatsApp and on text, saying you must sign this, you must sign that, you must... It actually shows that we've got some infrastructure to pull together. I worked as a supporter to the Ukrainians at the beginning of the war in Ukraine. And what really struck me was the way that things were being done organically. Rather than having to have one leader telling people what to do, everybody was communicating with each other via WhatsApp, via Telegram, and via all the other communications means. And they were able to work together as a group much more organically than they could before. And I think that's something that we've been able to do. So every person turns into a lobbyist. The person that forwarded the petition to 10 people, would you have knocked on 10 doors or phoned 10 people up 10 years ago? I'm not sure you would have, but it gives you the ability to lobby. It gives you the ability to come in. So just to recap what I've got below, I've got the phone number of the House of Commons switchboard. I'll probably try and put the constituency locator in there as well, so you can work out who your MP is, even if you don't know. Phone up your MP and say to get involved. 4:30, I'll put the link to where you can watch the proceedings till 7:30. What you're looking out for, of course, is the Labour and Conservative ministers. See what they have to say. And critically, I think there'll be a big speech by Nigel Farage, even though it'll be time limited, probably to about 3 or 4 minutes. But I think it'll be a big speech from him. Firstly, because he's the leader of reform. Secondly, because he's the Member of Parliament for Clacton. And thirdly, what's going to be really interesting is finding out exactly what they're going to say to him about Tommy Robinson. So the Westminster Hall debates are a little more sedate than the House of Commons itself, but I do think that somebody will have a go at him about all of that. So all of that stuff is in the description. Normally my videos are all about policy ideas and whatever. This is the first kind of instructional video I've attempted, so apologies if it's not the best thing ever, and probably it won't be watched quite as many times as some of the other videos I've made, but nonetheless I think it is an important debate tomorrow, so I hope you'll get involved. I'll be watching along as well and perhaps make a video to respond afterwards. So okay, until next time. Oh, by the way, it's Orthodox Christmas, right? So you can't have a go at me about the Christmas tree. That has to come down. Now I've worked this out, has to come down on the 8th of January. The reason is Orthodox do their celebration right at the end of Christmas on the 7th of January, whereas we of course take our Christmas trees down on the 7th. Anyway, until next time, arrivederci and goodbye.